we are in the supporting ideas. Speaker will be used the support in their outline, because as a public speaker you have strong main points and strong supporting material to bolster the audience point of view. So not only that, you of course when you do for your public speech, you don't want them to feel that they didn't understand what you are. Okay? So to convince them, you have to use these few methods that I will be teaching you today. Okay, so there are 4 things that will be covered in these sessions, which is example. That is the first, the supporting methods, supporting materials method. Number 2 is statistic. Number 3, testimony and citing sources orally. Okay, what the importance of supporting your ideas? So the importance of to support your ideas in public speech is you don't want to involve with the problem of generalizations, because there will be audience that have this question to you when your listener. They will be preach on what do you mean by the one that you have mentioned, or why should I believe you? So what did you want to talk to us today? So why do I have to believe you? That is the topic that you might be want to convince them in certain thing. For example, there are lots of I see a topic about to get enough sleep, the benefits of to have what we call the benefits to have enough sleep for their study. So that is might be some of the students might be questioning that why should I believe you? Why that? Because I didn't get enough sleep as well, I can perform well. So you have to in a way that to find some of the specific example or the points to strengthen your ideas or the things that the issues that you rise up. Okay, consider following this statement. Of course, when using a general statement inside your outline, for example, automobile accidents are serious problem, so that will be very general, very vague, and then they will be saying that every accident is not only consists of automobile, that will be another problem. So why is it very why we should be even care about it? So that is general. So audience might be have these questions because you generalizing into every person's, but you can turn it into a less general. For example, you point up to the rate in here. For example, the United States has an extremely high rate of fatal automobile accident. So using the percentage inside your country or inside the nation, state, it can give some indicator that this is a serious matter in our state. And what is much more better is when you have that in from the official source, when you have cited in from the official source, which is the newspaper. For example, according to New York Times, nearly 40,000 people died on US road last year, and average is almost 1,000 every 9 days. The United States has the highest per capita rate car crash rate in any nation in the industrialized world. So they will be indicated that wow, okay, so this one on the car crash or the accidents compared to any other accidents in industry, that in the world is the most highly rated. Okay, it's the has the main cause of people dies in the nations. So if you had the same death rate as Canada, Australia, we will save 16 lives a day lives a year. So that will be give you some examples of clearer and enhance other people understanding towards what you are saying in your public speech. So you have to be specific when you're giving some of the your example in your outline or in your public speech. So that is why it is to enhance and clarify the ideas of the speaker. So that is the importance to support your ideas. And move to example Example is a specific case used to illustrate or represent a group of people, ideas, conditions, experience, or the like. And without example, ideas often seems vague, impersonal, and lifeless. Okay, there are three types of example in public speech that you can use. One is brief example, second extended example, and number three is hypothetical example. As for brief example, a specific case referred to in passing to illustrate a point. For example, change in technology have made it possible for doctors to work wonder in one seemed impossible. Okay, Roger Chatham, for example, lost his feet when they were crushed in truck accident. Now he has a new feet. So this is just giving you indicator that this is one specific case. They give you about the technology in medical perspective and illustrated. So how you want to illustrate, you find some of the story to illustrate your example that you want to use. Okay, for example, that these cases of Roger Chatter where he had his feet in crush, so now he has a few feet. It will be talking about he has a surgery to change the handicap feet to the robotic feet. So this is, it can be read further in the textbook. So you can go to your textbooks and then you can read on that. Yeah, example for brief example. Extended example are story, narrative, and anecdote delivered at some length to illustrate the point. Okay, this is the example based on the book. One friend called him a funniest person I ever know, while the friends called him a military hero. And everyone said that happened to him was a tragically he became one of the 20 American veterans who commit suicide every day. So extended examples actually you narrative some of the story based on one case. So the topic in here is actually American veteran that commit suicide, or this topic is about committing suicide, and this person will actually taking some of the point, the real story, to become the extended example, and then make it like feeling after the emotions of using of some of the words here, like the funniest person I ever know, the other friends call him a military hero. So this is actually injected words of emotions to it. So when you have the emotions but thinking on your example, people will much more know that that these things and these issues or the topic have been playing to do their perceptions, that we're playing for their emotion, then they can move for your story. So that is one of a good way of how you can influence your audience to believe with your topic, yeah, to persuade them, and yes, and then lastly to convincing them that the issues is quite important, which is where committing suicide is should be taken into actions, should be taken into the monitor. Okay, so that is extended example. And last but not least is hypothetical example, an example that describes an imaginary or fictional situation. So you can use a fiction situation even though it's not the real one. For example, imagine you are the farmer market. You are the farmer market. So you become the site, the place, yeah, like the building. In front of you are ripe red tomatoes, sweet and juicy and full of flavor. So you can have that images. That red tomato, how that it feels sweet and juicy and full of flavor. So that is playing some of the words that can impact some of the pleasureness and what we call the pleasure in feeling. You can imagine how it all tastes, how it feels sweet or juicy. So that is another what we call hypothetical statement. And then to your left, a bushel of fresh leafy greens packed with vitamins and minerals. Now imagine you are in the supermarket. So you use another hypothetical imaginations, which is you imagine yourself as a supermarket. In front of you, a doll, mainly tomato, and have been treated with pesticides. So this one, so you can imagine that this speaker using some of the imaginary situations, fiction situations, to give an example to deliver his or her issue. So we are talking about vegetarians, fresh products, okay, like vegetables and fresh products without using any types of chemical pesticides. So you are using some things that indicate some of the emotions here, and then some of the pictures in your mind. This will be help your audience to understand better on your public speech. So these are 3 brief example, extended example, and hypothetical example. Move to statistics. So statistics is a numeral of data. Usually we've been used to describe certain what we call the specifics of percentage, numbers, and yes, and then this one will be cited in order to clarify or to strengthen the speaker's ideas. And usually students use this well, they do for their presentation for research, because of course we want to see that the what we call the actual data. We want to see that your research is throughout some of investigations, and then of course numbers don't lie, because whatever that you have taken for your correspondent with your research is the actual fact. You can't actually able to manipulate the numbers based on how you want to they look like. So you will be using this number to strengthen your point of view. For example, the rate of accidents just now, okay, and the profit or the percentage of internet penetrations in Sarawak, okay, and then the percentage of the treatments of COVID-19 have been used or distributed in the population in Malaysia. So that is actual fact would be the actual and reliable data for people to believe in and to use. Okay, so when you want to use statistics, you have to understand that you use data that representative what you claim to measure. So do not use a statistic that actually didn't represent whatever that you want to preach. So you have to be careful when you want to use a statistic, not simply by taking it and put into your slide or into your presentation. It must be represents to your what we call this one, your topic. Okay, and a statistical measure used correctly. So you have to understand what does the percent referring to. Okay, for example, if you're using this bell curve percentage in your slide, mean, okay, for mean percentage will be referring to average. The average, for example, the average of accidents in Malaysia. So the mean numbers here is actually the average people have involved in accidents in the road. Okay, and then the median is the middle number. Usually if you have do for checking for student perceptions, okay, for student perceptions in online learning, you use median to determine what are their perspective, most of the students' perspective towards online learning. So they will be in 1 to 5, because you have answers to 4 student answer frequent student evaluations. So 1, 2, 3 to 5. So number 3, if the students are mostly answer number 3, so that will be in the middle of the answers. If the people answer mostly to 5, so in the middle numbers, there will be a counting that the number will be out of 5. the mean is average, okay, like I said, but the median is how that the people or the respondent answered to your frequencies in the that you can give your numbers of the respondent in like a scale. For example, like 5 out of 5, and then mod is the percentage of most of the respondent have answered to your Likert scale. If you want to claim for some of statistic in your public speech, okay. And of course, when you using an internet source, you have to ensure that the statistics are from a reliable source in the internet, and you have to be aware that if there is any possible bias, any of the numbers that have been put in the statistic inside the source that you have used. So you need to do your double check, and that means the number have been calculated correctly. The case study that you currently research on, maybe manipulate the data in order just to make them the data is look nice in their research. So you have to be careful on the possible bias inside. So that is statistic. So the tips in using statistic is you sometimes not every of the topic must use statistic. So you only use statistic to quantify. If you want to use the percentage just now to clarify your preach or your topic that you are doing for your public speech. Use statistics sparingly. So you don't have to put every of the main points statistics. So not every of the main point need to clarify or use every of this bar chart, because sometimes when you look every of your main point, everything is in this chart like this, the audience might be feel overwhelming, and then they might be feel that is too heavy for them to understand as well. So you have to be careful when you want to use statistic. Identify the source of a statistic, official source to take the data collections, and then you explain your statistic. You need to explain what does this line means, explain every of the chart that been shown, and then round off complicated statistic. If it's every of your chart, there might be too details, yeah, so you have to simplify it so the audience will be able to better grasp your chart, and use visual aids to clarify statistical trends. So you can use any area chart in here to indicate in your chart. So why is it increasing in terms in nature, why is it declining in nature. So you also can use some of the visual aids to help it, yeah. And that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of tips in using statistics. And this one is the one that I have mentioned, so to clarify the trends. So you have used a lot of PowerPoint in your presentation. I believe most of you using PowerPoint. Okay, just assume that you're using PowerPoint. And in PowerPoint you have statistics, chart and line chart. So when you want to actually present your percentage case or your topic that involve with number, you need to put some of the animation looking on the line that will be helping people to follow one by one what is the chart's meaning. Sometimes students might be, when you're just showing your chart to enhance it, it is able to be clear for them to read your chart, yeah. So you have to take more time to do that, and then it will be greatly affecting to the audience understanding. Okay, and number 3, so this is the method number 3. Okay, and then this is testimony method to be used when you want to convince people on certain service or products. Okay, you will use testimony to give people of the trusted or belief on some of the product or service. For example, quotations or paraphrase used to support a point. When you're reading on the testimonial or review in online shopping, for example, you will be looking on the peer testimony, because the peer testimony is the ordinary people with a first-hand experience or insight on the topic, or just like a business, like a business online. When you read the review on a certain product, that is their experience on how they receive the products, how they feel that they use a product. Some of the public speech, when you are talking about physical disability, so you will find someone with physical disability, you have done some of interview with them. It's also from peer testimony, because it's actually you are talking about someone that actually first-hand experience it. But as for the expert testimony from people who are recognized they are expert in their field. For example, if we're talking about physical disability, so you will find some of the people that are actually a role model, or they are researcher, or some of the motivator in terms of physical disability. For example, maybe we have Paralympic. Paralympic is for the sports athlete that are disabled in their conditions. Yeah, they are very special, but they are involved with sports, and you asking them how that they are able to do amazing job in their field. So that is expert testimony, in that you can add up into your okay. Now we move to quoting and paraphrasing. So if you're familiar with quotations, so sometimes when people like to quote with terms, put it inside their social media, where we're talking about representing word from other people, from inspiring people, you also can use the quotation inside your outline. And paraphrase. So paraphrase is to restate or summarize a source of idea in your own word. So when you want to take a source from the internet, sometimes you can use direct quotation, but do not use direct quotation in every main point or sub point, because that will be plagiarizing. What you can do is you have to paraphrase it. You put it in your own word and summarize it for people to much understand and deliver it in the way that you want. So please do paraphrase in your outline and when you do for your presentations. Okay, so that is quoting versus paraphrasing. Tips for using testimonial. So when you want to use testimony, so you don't want to quoting out of context a statement in such a way as to distort its meaning by removing the statement from the words and phrases surrounding it. So quote and paraphrase accurately. So please do not change the word in the people's idea or the statement. Do not misquote someone. Do not violate the meaning of statement that you paraphrase, and then do not quote out of context. And of course, you will use this testimony in an unbiased people way. They are obviously showing only fair to one side. It doesn't sound that it will be only side to a one part of the story. So don't do that, and identify the people you quote or paraphrase. Of course, you have to cite them. So you have to look how to cite a person's in your outline, in your speech. You can look at from the internet how to do in-text citations. Okay. So that is end of chapter 9. So chapter 9 will actually related to your outline, writing your speech as well for the topic, because you are now looking for the topic and you are